The focus goes to next year. Who makes the cut? Who has a role? What do we need next on Locked On Jazz? Bum 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 pow.
You are Locked On Jazz, your daily podcast on the Utah Jazz. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
How are you? I am David Locke. Today is an Ask LOJ edition. You submit the questions. I'll give you the best answers I can. It's brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork needed. Vanilla cakey flavored, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now at 5hourenergy.com/Amazon. We have got a packed show. Almost every question today exclusively coming from the insider group, from the All Access group. As I got great questions from the All Access group, and they're just going to roll with it. We're not going to do this all the time. We're not going to make this just an elitist only for the all Access members, but the All Access members are active and awesome, and the Discord channel's getting there, and we're becoming a great community. And so we are going to take the questions predominantly from this group today on the program. All right, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about some inside baseball questions about ESPN and the NBA and whether they're focusing on the Jazz and the Jazz are their target. Did the Jazz go too early with some of the money issues that they're going to have here? What about Memphis and Dallas? Should we be worried about where they are? If the Jazz pick outside of the top 5, what should the strategy be? Jaren Jackson Jr., what are his elite skills? We're starting it off at the top, though, looking specifically in next year. If we have 8 guaranteed guys next year, this comes from Rick, Walk, Jaren Jackson, Lauri, Key, Ace, the 6th pick, a vet center, and Svi, plus a backup point guard. Do we need to use Brice, Kyle, Filipowski for a first this year? Okay. So the first premise of this, I think, is exactly what we've been talking about each and every day on this program right now. And that is that this is just a huge tryout right now for Isaiah Collier, Kyle Filipowski, Brice Sensabaugh, and Cody Williams to prove that they can be part of a rotation that is trying to compete to be top 6 in the Western Conference next year. And I think it's very well said by Rick, if the starting lineup does turn out to be Key, Ace, Lauri, Walker, and Jaren Jackson, we have the pick of this draft. We have a veteran center, which is Nurkic or some backup center. And I think Svi Mykhailiuk, we'll talk about him some more here in a second, could be a part of it. You're going to need someone to play with more ball handling skills. You're going to need somebody who can be a little bit of a scorer off the bench. Those fit Brice Sensabaugh and Isaiah Collier. You're going to need somebody who probably can float between the 4 and the 5 as your 5th big. That fits Kyle Filipowski. You're going to need a wing defender. We really don't have any defenders on the floor at all, other than Jaren Jackson and Walker Kessler. But like wing defenders, we do not have. That could match Cody. So the door is open to all 4 of these guys to have the possibility. I don't know that you could trade Brice Sensabaugh and Kyle Filipowski for a first-round draft pick. Let me just be perfectly clear on that. I don't think you can take a 28th pick and a 32nd pick, neither of which has established themselves as NBA rotation players, and get a first-round draft pick for them. I think this is a little bit of a side note, but I've been meaning to talk about this all week. We love our own guys, and I think that's great. And I want to be a part of that. I also would say, take a look at what's happened to our guys that we love so much and couldn't figure out why we couldn't get first-round draft picks for them last year. So Jordan Clarkson's out of the rotation in New York, right? Colin Sexton is playing in Chicago, who didn't win a game this month, and I think he's playing about 20 minutes a night in Chicago. Charlotte moved on from him within the first 6 months of having him. While they're trying to win, right? They're hot and decide to move on. Colin's still always productive, though he's actually, frankly, not been very productive in his 8 games in Chicago at 43% and 31% from 3. I do think we have to be, we watch our guys, we like our guys, but, we loved all 3 of those guys, and John Collins, Jordan Clarkson, and Colin Sexton. And now suddenly, as they're on, we couldn't get anything for them in trades. And now when they're on other teams, John Collins is suddenly having a very good year. Like, I think John, I don't want to, John's up to 43% shooting from three and having a pretty marvelous year for the Clippers and helping them hold together. So I think John is exactly who we thought he was. But I do think, I don't think that Kyle Filipowski and Brice Sensabaugh, if we're just being totally honest, and I think both of them still can be very, very good players. But I don't think either of them are at a point where they're, somebody else is giving up a first-round draft pick to go get them, even to get both those guys. So I think that's the only thing in your comment that I think is a stretch. I think the other aspect of this of like who fits those roles is absolutely the number one topic right now. This week you were talking about the young players providing that they can be rotation players for the Jazz when they want to be good next year. Of the remaining young players, who do you think is actually ready? It has not been a ringing endorsement for them the last two games, frankly. I think one thing is maybe as they are today, if I'm being 100% honest, I'm not sure. But if you had asked me about Keyonte at this point in last year, I would have said I'm not sure, or I would have actually been disconcerted to the point where I probably would have said, If you'd asked me about Walker at the end of his second year, I might have said the same thing. Players get better between year 2 and year 3. The biggest adjustment they're all going to have to make is right now they all just make mistakes that are youthful mistakes that are fine because we're developing, and you make those against Houston in a good close, if you make those in the Clippers and the Timberwolves game last night, you cost your team the game. If you make those in the Spurs-Toronto game the night before, you cost yourself the game. If you make those in the Houston-Orlando game last night, you cost your team the game. And if you make those in the Phoenix-LA Lakers game, which clearly the Lakers did, you cost yourself the game. And that's just a different environment for that. So, I would say that of our guys, all of them have 2 or 3 plays a night right now, in which, often Will's calling a timeout because someone didn't rotate from the top or trying a spin move in the middle of traffic, get it taken. It's just not shooting the ball well enough. Those kind of things right now you can get away with, but you can't, if we're going to be good next year, you actually can't get away with. And so all those players that we just mentioned there in Cody, Kyle, Isaiah, and Brice have to tighten up the reins a great deal if they're going to be able to play important rotation minutes next year on a good team. I also just think I'm trying to be gentle right now. I don't think any of them have played well the last 2 games. Let me rephrase it. I don't think any of them have played at the level in the last 2 games that would say to you, yes, that's it. At the same time, I think this is a very hard environment for which them to thrive. They're playing without Keyonte. They're playing without Nurk. They're playing without Lauri. We're asking them to play at a level of rotation quality NBA players. They're not playing with anyone who's an established NBA starter. I think that's a very, very difficult environment by which to ask them to thrive. And I want to be a little gentle with it. I also want to be a little gentle with when did Keyonte make his jump? If we had made a definitive statement at this time last year on Keyonte, we would have been dead wrong. If we'd made a definitive statement on Walker at the end of his second year, we would have been dead wrong. So let's be a little careful on it. I talked about this last night on Postcast. We don't need these guys to be a star. We've all seen them make impactful plays. We now need to see them impact stretches of the game. Then we need to see them impact a quarter of the game. Then we need to see them impact a half of the game. Isaiah's probably become the closest of anyone to doing that at times this year. Brice has probably as well. And Kyle's actually had a stretch or 2, and Cody had a sequence. Cody's not ready to impact the game for longer than he had a 4 or 5 play defensive sequence. But can they impact the game in that fashion? Is the way I would look at it. But I do think, let me take an example here of what I'm really not trying to be obtuse in any way on any of these guys. I think we all know what they're trying to do. But let's take Kyle, for example. He has 10 turnovers in the last 2 games. So that's not okay. You can't turn it over 10 times in a 2-game stretch in the NBA is a big. But is that because he's trying to do more than he's capable of doing because there's no Lauri and there's no Nurk on the floor, and so we shouldn't evaluate for him? Yeah, probably. Probably. Good questions today, all coming from, that was from Taylor, coming from our all access members of the Everydayer Club. Coming up next, do you think Svi Mykhailiuk is one of the rotation players for next year? Other than Walker, what are our 3 biggest priorities? And I'm higher on the Jazz than you are next year. Prove me wrong. That's all coming up on today's edition of Locked on Jazz. Friday edition of Locked on Jazz is brought to you by our friends over at Murdoch Hyundai, located at 46 South State Street, also located in Logan and in Linden. The Murdochs have been in Utah for 90 plus years, delivering you the no regrets experiencing, making sure that you know that they are a part of the same community you are and treating you as though you are one of their own. That's what makes the Murdochs different, and the Hyundai car, absolutely fabulous. I'm driving the Palisade right now, the calligraphy, it's just great. I literally cannot imagine why you'd possibly buy any other car if you're looking for, unless you just really need some fancy brand name to impress your friends on that, and if those are your friends, find new friends. The otherwise, it is just absolutely fabulous. The Santa Fe Hybrid, you fill it up, you're getting 500 miles to the gallon. It's amazing. Tucson's are flying off the shelf right now, and also right now, if you mention me when you buy a new or used car over at Murdoch Hyundai, you receive a year of maintenance on your car, all from Murdoch Hyundai. Give me an email first at dlock09@gmail.com. That's dlock09@gmail.com so that I can make sure that we get you the VIP experience. That's dlock09@gmail.com. Today's show is also brought to you by DoorDash. The season's heating up. DoorDash has a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out. Let the DoorDash become your post-game therapy. Sometimes you just need dessert now. Those late night interviews hit and suddenly you need chips at midnight. DoorDash is exactly for that. If the group chat says pull up, DoorDash makes sure you show up prepared. Snacks, cups, even a phone charger for a friend who's always at 2%. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. Thanks so much for making Locked on Jazz your first listen. Thank you to all the everydayers today with great questions. Today's show, which we will not do all the time, but we will do every now and then, is a all-access exclusive member today. Welcome to Devin Burr, our newest member of the All Access Club. You can be part of the All Access Club at Locked on Jazz. You get one-on-one texting with me, which is how all these questions came in. You get exclusive in part of our exclusive Discord Jazz community, trying to make the best Jazz community that's out there to chat and communicate with friends each and every day for you. Plus, we'll give you access to the merchandise store, Locked on Jazz ad-free, Locked on Sports Today ad-free, 15% off at the merch store, and maybe most importantly, Leaf to Lean's bonus content exclusively just to you and the All Access Club. That's $15 a month. Promo code JJJ. JJJ gets you a month off, or if you buy a whole year, you get 2 months off. That's all at lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. Love to have you be a part of the community. All right, continuing from Jacob, a member of our All Access Club. I have to turn off a banner. Too many things going on here. Do you feel Svi Mykhailiuk could play 5 to 10 minutes a night next year as the Jazz try to contend? I feel like his shooting is legit. I do too. And I was trying to bring up to Ron last night, I think Svi could be a better player on a good team because it allows him to not have to play out of his box. So your point of shooting, catch and shoot this year, Svi Mykhailiuk is at 44% on catch and shoot threes, taking 3 a game. That's big time. That's up there with the best in the NBA. That is the best on our team. Keyonte is 43. Kevin Love is 39. Lauri Markkanen is 37 on catch and shoot threes. Brice Sensabaugh is 34%. League average, I think, is about 37, 38 here, by the way. Ace Bailey's 32% on catch and shoot threes. Kyle Filipowski's 33% on catch and shoot threes. And I forgot one person here. I think I got that for you. Did I say Ace Bailey's at 32? I think so. So yes. The other thing is like Svi's not bad defensively. Like he'll put out the effort, give you the energy, give you the juice that you need. And then as I think you get better, there are specific things you're looking for players. So is Svi Mykhailiuk playing mostly off the ball in the corners? Well, he shot 47% on corner threes this year. He's 42 of 90. Next best on the team's Lauri at 46%, then Brice Sensabaugh at 44%. Actually, Kevin Love's at 56 in the corner this year. Brice Sensabaugh, by the way, 44% on corner threes, only 32% on above the break threes, despite taking 221 above the break threes. Lauri, too. Lauri, by the way, 46% on corner threes, only 32.5% on above the break threes. At one point this year, we were the worst above the break three-point shooting team in the league. So we need to get that to be a little bit better. Key's at 38%. He's the best on the roster. Ace is actually at 35%. It's been better above. And Kyle, to his credit, is up to 35% on above the break threes. So nice work. You know, that opens up doors for Kyle. That's an important aspect of him is that shooting. He's not a elite rim finisher yet, though he's getting better. He's getting better in a lot of ways. I mean, Kyle's really getting a lot better into our, like, let's not judge a guy this year yet. So, but to answer your question, yes, I think Svi's very legit. I think Svi can show all the things you want. And then the other thing is his contract's amazing, right? You're going to need some guys over the next few years whose contracts are amazing. Svi makes $3.85 million next year and makes a club option $4 million the year after. Like, I think Svi's here for a while. Other than Walker, what are our three biggest priorities this offseason? So 3 plus Walker. So one, I'm actually going to lead with internal development, right? The same way we had this massive jump from Keyonte. Which one of those 4 guys, Cody, Brice, Kyle, or Isaiah, can suddenly show signs to the organization that they're having the similar offseason, and the Jazz can kind of quietly know behind the scenes that box is checked. So, Ryan, I'm going to start there. We need more ball handling. No question. Even with the rosters, there's going to have to be some sort of acquisition of somebody who is a ball handler. I also would say we need somebody with a little calmingness to it, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain that. But like, it feels to me like all our guys, we need somebody who's just been around. Like, they can turn and be like, oh, he knows how that works. He's like a Harrison Barnes type in San Antonio. I feel like Harrison Barnes is a settling force. He also is president of Players Union, and so he's going to keep track of everything every second. But I think what I'm saying in that sense is that he's kind of a settling force for you as a player that you like know he's been there, done that, and brought. So I think we need that. That can be, and then we need some sort of wing defenders. Like if Cody's shooting 22% from 3 and isn't able to be a rotation player, we need some sort of wing defenders. I mean, there's 2 real flaws in the way the roster sits right now. And they are, one, that do we have enough ball handling? Like, Ace Bailey's not a very good ball handler. Now, we just need we may need ball movers more than handlers, but okay, we still need something. And then the second was like, who's guarding people? Like when we go up against San Antonio, who's guarding or Oklahoma City? Who's guarding Jalen Williams? Lauri? It's not great. Ace? It's not great. Who's guarding Shea? Keyonte? Okay, it's a lot. When we're playing Denver, so Keontae's got Jamal Murray? Probably. When we're playing San Antonio, Keontae's got De'Aaron Fox again? Like, we're going to wear him out. Like, Keontae's not a good defensive player yet in his career. We can't be just relying on that every minute of every day. So I think we're really lacking both ball handling and we're lacking wing defending that we're going to have to find somewhere. Those aren't particularly easy to find. And, I don't know if it's like, I'm not sure I'm relying on a 33-year-old Gary Payton II if Golden State lets him go, but it might be. Like, we might need somebody who comes in, who can come in and be good enough that, and I don't know if a 33-year-old Gary Payton II can do it, but who can come in and be like, okay, I'm putting out this fire. Right? We need that guy. There aren't that many of those guys in this world either. So I think that's the other thing I would say is, like, fair is, like, it's not the easiest thing in the world to go find. Hey, let's just go pick a wing defender up. And then that wing defender that can't guard it all, frankly, ends up being a problem. It'll be interesting. Robert says, if my computer lets Robert speak, I'm higher on the Jazz next year than you are. I think we could be in the reach of a number 3 playoff seed. Prove me wrong. Well, if I were to prove you wrong on that, I think I would just start by saying Oklahoma City, San Antonio, and Denver. I don't know that I have a lack of belief in who we are next year, as more of I have a belief in Oklahoma City, San Antonio, and Denver next year. So that would probably be, San Antonio is terrifying. They've won 11 straight. They're 43-16. And I don't think they're even here yet. Like, I don't even think they're good yet. Or what their good's going to be. I don't think they're anywhere close. So my answer on why we have a hard time with the top 3 is Oklahoma City, San Antonio, and Denver. Are we in the range of Houston next year? Are we in the range of Minnesota next year? Are we in the range of the Lakers? Minnesota's pretty good. They're lacking depth. They just got Kyle Anderson at the buyoff market. But, yeah, I think there's 2 tiers there. Right now, the standings don't show that. There's Oklahoma City, San Antonio, and Denver, in my mind, are 1 tier, though Denver just so many injuries and hasn't put it together yet. And may not. Teams like that don't usually, frankly. And then I think there's Houston, Minnesota, and LA, and I think we're trying to get into the Houston, Minnesota, LA tier. So that's my answer. My answer is not necessarily about the Jazz. The way that you're right, Robert, is that the Jazz rim defense and rebounding turns out to be so valuable, the way Detroit has been. This is why we talked about Detroit this week. In the way that Detroit has just been able to stun the Eastern Conference this year by just winning the possession battle and dominating the restricted area, that our size allows us to do that in a way that nobody anticipates. That's how we become better than we say we're going to be. All right, let's continue on a Friday edition of Ask LOJ. Thank you very much. From Christian, we're going to talk about Lauri and JJ and who's most likely to be an all-star next year. We're going to talk about Lauri's defense question from Derek in our Everydayer group. Question about Mo Bamba, and Taylor wants to know if we went too fast. Those things are all coming up on today's edition of Locked On Jazz. 5-hour energy. The draft flavor test is underway. Welcome to 5-hour energy flavor draft. 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, Cotton Candy. The board is set. The flavors are ready. The number 1 pick for the 5-hour energy flavor draft, I'm probably going watermelon. Cool, crisp, caffeinated, juicy, candy-style flavor. Light, refreshing sweetness. Subtle, clean, fresh notes. That makes it my number 1 pick. The hidden gem in the draft is pomegranate. A little tart, a little sophistication, a little fruity bitterness, a little smooth, lingering aftertaste. It is the 5-hour energy flavor draft for you. Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, Cotton Candy. 0 sugar gives you the boost with 5-hour energy. A lot of upcoming flavor innovations are planned, by the way. I want Mint Mojito. The 5-hour energy is here for you. So find your new favorite flavor of 5-hour energy shots available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. That's 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. Maybe good old grape. Maybe good old grape should sneak in to the number 1 spot in the draft while we're at it. Today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. I am a Game Time customer. That's the story of the week. I went and saw Head in the Heart open for Brandi Carlile. Bought my tickets on Game Time about an hour and a half before the concert. Got there. Tickets were perfect. Experience was easy. Literally found the tickets. Found the right price. They were cheaper than anywhere else I'd found them. Lower bowl. Clicked on it. No hidden fees because I'd clicked off no hidden fees. Knew exactly where my seats were going to be. Got an email within a second. Click this link to acquire your tickets. Got the tickets and was all set. That simple. Nothing else. And if you'd use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase, it was not my first purchase. Terms apply. You would have gotten $20 off with the terms, with the tickets, with the code Locked On. So download the Game Time app today. Find out about zone deals. Get last minute ticket options. Everything's quick, intuitive, stress-free, easy from start to finish. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. That's code Locked On for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Remember, it's gametime.co, not gametime.com. That's gametime.co. Thanks so much for freaking Locked On Jazz, your first listen of the day. Let's continue through with the great questions today from our All Access members. Sorry, just want to make sure that this is from Christian. Which players out of Lauri and JJ are most likely to be an all-star next year? If the Jazz are top 4 in the West, do you think they could get 2? We're worried about the all-star game next year. I love it. I think JJ's most likely to be an all-star because if we win, he will get the credit for turning the table and changing the Jazz. Is it possible that Lauri's out rest of the season? Who do you think the logical free agents or trade targets to help with ball handling are? I do not know the free agent trade targets. I also think there's a lot of things that have to happen to shake out that market. I also think these could be some easy exchanges on trades that wouldn't be that difficult to get done with the rules. Lauri's got inflammation in his hip and whatever the medical term they have. They're going to check it in 2 weeks. If it's better, then there's still a lot of season left, and he probably needs a week or 2 to ramp up to be back to conditioning level. If it's not better and you start to push this thing out for 2 or 3 more weeks, then yes, then I think there's a real possibility then at some point that it's just literally not worth coming back. It's kind of the same thing where Jaren Jackson is like chomping at the bit to get back and try to play, and he's busting his butt and trying to do all these things. And there's also a point where your body says like yes or no is the right amount. And so I think I'd be surprised, but not shocked, I guess would be my comment. That another one from Robert. If we lose Nurk in the free agency, what are some logical backup center targets? I mean, I think backup centers are not the hardest thing to find in this league. Backup centers that are as good as Nurk, frankly, might be difficult to find, but backup centers are generally floating around the league, right? Like if Zach Collins can get healthy, he's probably a minimum contract player at this point. Day'Ron Sharp out of Brooklyn, I think, is a free agent this year. He's a perfectly nice player. I don't know what he gets money-wise. Nick Richards has bounced around. Everyone likes him until they have him, which is kind of an interesting concept on him. The Lakers are paying Jackson Hayes $3 million. Like you can find a backup center. And then also when you couple the fact that if you really think about our center minutes, it might be not very many because of the fact that JJ plays some of them. Maybe we go get Jock Landale again, a return. Where does JJ rank in versatile combo defender? Is there such a thing when you consider 1, guarding, 2, rim defense, 3, weak side defense, and 4, one-on-one defense? I think he's pretty elite. And the thing I've heard from everyone who's coached him or been around him or things, he's a little bit of a freelancer. So you really kind of want him guarding the least good offensive player and let him roam a little bit. That's so weak side defensive player in a sense. That's pretty awesome. I believe when we did the numbers on Jaren, he came out as one of the best isolation defenders in the NBA. And then, if he's around the rim, he's pretty great. He's better as a weak side defender from the rim than he is on one-on-one defense. I think he's great. So, I think 2 of those, Derek, are very similar. I'm not sure how I'm separating rim defense and weak side defense because I think they're kind of the same. And then one-on-one defense versus, I guess guarding 1 through 5 is switching. There aren't many bigs who probably can switch as well as he can and then that gets into isolation defense. So no, I think Jaren's about as solid as it gets. He won Defensive Player of the Year. He's really special. And then I thought the comment from Eric Spoelstra was great. Like, how many guys win Defensive Player of the Year and score 20 points a game? He's really special. What are my top 3 favorite moments in Jazz history? For me personally, for the franchise. I mean, for the franchise, I think you go to, the first playoff win with Frank, you go to the Stockton shot, you probably go to the Stockton pass as the three biggest highlights in franchise history. There's probably some Donovan something in there. The bubble and its emotional importance to us at the time. I would say that. For me personally, I called a game in Toronto when Hot Rod was still the play-by-play announcer, which was my first ever Jazz game, which was fulfilling every life dream I ever had. Calling Kobe's last game was certainly a huge thrill. Beating Oklahoma City in the playoff series was maybe the most excited I've ever been. And then back to when I covered the team originally, coming back from Houston after Stockton shot and having the thousands of fans at the airport, there's nothing that will probably ever quite equal that, being around the NBA Finals and all of that have all been really pretty incredible moments. That is Locked On Jazz today. Thanks so much for being a part of it. Love being the everydayers out there and the All Access Club members who busted us with great questions, and a bunch of you I still didn't get to today. Loaded me up. Love it. Become a part of that club by going to lockedonjazz.supercast.com. That's lockedonjazz.supercast.com. You can follow me at DLock09 on socials. In the meantime, we'll send you over the first ever 24/7 national NBA channel, Locked On NBA, on YouTube, on audio. Check out Game Night, every game, every night. Also check out the Big 3 in 30, the biggest 3 stories in the NBA in 30 minutes.